Hey, welcome back to 2023, and I'm busy recording videos again, and I'm excited to be bringing you new content, hopefully weekly this year. Got a lot of things in store that I'll be looking at, a lot of trips and a lot of behind the scenes, different editing techniques, and a whole bunch of new ideas that I'm going to be putting together for YouTube channels going forward. Yes, I'm currently sitting in the dark. Yes, I have lights on, which are battery operated, but as you can see, my desktop system is off and I'm running off my laptop this evening. And that is because in South Africa, we're experiencing something called load shedding, which is when for most of the day or half the day, our power is off because our supply cannot manage the demand. Hopefully this won't be around for too much longer. They are hopefully working on some solutions on this and we'll be up and running again. But I just wanted to let you know that we are still working, I'm still going, and everyone is trying their best to keep going in these trying times. But this is a good reason to get out and go and take some landscape photos. And that's why I'm discussing the topic that I'm doing this evening, storm chasing. As well, because I am leaving in 3 weeks to go storm chasing in Namibia. So I'll be focusing on Namibia storm chasing, showing you some images, discussing some things if you're thinking about going storm chasing yourself, the way to position yourself, how to read the storms, what to think about from a photography point of view, and what type of images you can expect to get from them. Okay, so storm chasing in Namibia is great fun. You are chasing on a lot of dirt roads. You are looking particularly in the south. You can chase as well in the north and extensively throughout the country. You do need to realize you'll be chasing mainly on dirt roads. So a 4x4 vehicle is highly recommended, as well as someone who has 4x4 experience. If that is not yourself, go with someone who has experience and have the necessary tools to get unstuck if you get stuck in the mud or in the sand, something like that. So it is not without risk going storm chasing. However, I'll just give you some insights that I do to keep myself safe and out of potential danger when storm chasing. So the first thing I do is I always try and stay ahead of the storm. So generally the storms in Namibia, the way they work is you will, early afternoon, there will be a big wind coming in. You'll see the clouds start to build, and most of the storms tend to build up in the afternoons. There are exceptions when there's storms throughout the day. When there's big storms coming in, you can have storms for a day or two, and those are quite hectic storms. But in general, in summer, when it is the storm season, it gets nice and hot in the afternoon, the wind starts to pick up and you see the clouds building on the horizon, especially over mountains, and you know that the storms are building. And you can get a fair idea of where they will be just by looking at it and using different weather apps to see the position of the clouds and the storms. So I try and keep out in front of the storm. This means I can shoot without getting any rain on my lenses, without being stuck in the storm, because as soon as you get in the rain, it's very difficult to shoot. You don't see any of your composition. You can't see the mountains. You can't see the foreground because there are these sheets of rain coming down, and it's very difficult to shoot and get a decent composition. So by staying in front of the storm, I'm able to shoot back onto the storm cells. So you can see the storms building in the images out on the horizon, and you get these really dramatic and moody photos with light in the foreground. And that's what's really nice about the storms. You have this dark, moody background with a lot of light on the foreground detail. And that's one of the things I love about storm chasing and storm chasing images, is getting this play between this dark, foreboding storm and this beautiful light dancing around on your foreground. So this is before the storm hits. You follow the storm and you chase it out, and you can shoot all these shots, especially in the desert areas. You get this light on the dunes. I've shot this quite extensively at Sossusvlei when the storms come in. And another nice thing when the storm comes in is there's this big gust of wind, there's big winds that come up before the storm, and they pick up all the sand on the dunes. So if you love those shots with the massive dust storms or sand on the dunes, create a lot of drama, create a lot of that ethereal effect. Great time to shoot the storms is before they come in, and you get all this dust and moody atmosphere happening, and then the storm hits. So the next thing is after the storms hit, so either you stay in front of the storm and it goes off to the side of you and then you never get caught up in the rain, or you have to sit in the car and wait out the rain as the storm passes. Generally the storms pass quite quickly. So if a storm builds up at around 3, the storm would maybe dissipate in that about half an hour before sunset. And what that means is once the storm is dissipated and it's cooled down again, and you don't have this all rain coming down, you get amazing cloud formation. So you get a lot of color in the sky after the big storms. You get rainbows. So often when you're looking at storms, think rainbows, think potential lightning as well. Haven't been able to capture lightning on the desert chases, but I'm hoping to on my next one. So in terms of rainbows, the way rainbows work is you have to be 180 degrees for a rainbow. So if you want the rainbow to be in your frame, you need to put the sun to your back. So you've got to be 180 degrees from the sun in order to see the rainbow. So always put the sun and the sunset to your back and shoot out that way, or look out that way for rainbows, 180 degrees opposite direction of the sunset. And if there are rainbows, you'll see them. Needs to be a little bit of rain or hazy rain where the light catches it, and that's what creates the rainbow. And you can see I've captured some stunning rainbows. I particularly love this one I captured with the giraffes. Also captured some beautiful rainbows with the storm cell that swirled around me in this grassland savanna in the desert after the rainy season. And there were these golden grasses, and I managed to capture a rainbow with this tree composition I really liked. You also get these intense sunsets I found after the storm. They happen quite quickly, so it is quite difficult to find a foreground for them. But if you've thought about a foreground and you're in the right spot and you can find one quickly, always great to go and capture these intense sunsets. And they also make really nice panoramas, and they light up all the foreground with these intense reds and oranges and yellows that I love in the desert. So when you think storm chasing, a lot of people just think, oh, you're going to capture these very moody images with lightning and things like this. This isn't necessarily always the case. After the storms, it settled that dust, you get very clean images and generally quite intense colors and rainbows that follow. So in a very short period of time when storm chasing, you can get a big range of different images where you're going from moody images all the way to beautiful color images. So think about your foregrounds. I always carry 2 bodies with me so I don't have to change lenses. As I've said, when the storms are happening, there's quite intense wind, a lot of dust that's kicked up in the air. You don't want to constantly be changing lenses, but you also want to have the adaptability of having a telephoto lens for reach, because you never know how close you're going to get to your composition, and you don't know exactly where the storm cell is going to go and you're stuck on the road that you have. So I like to have a telephoto, either a 70 to 200 or 100 to 400 on one camera, and then something a bit wider if I find a nice foreground that I can shoot, something like a 24 to 120 or a 24 to 70 mil to capture the foreground with the sky. So yeah, so just a short video just to kick off 2023 and discuss some of the trips I'm going to be going on, where I'll be leaving in a month's time to go and do exactly what I've spoken about now, go storm chasing in Namibia and hopefully get some new and exciting images. But yeah, I also wanted to just show you the types of photos that you can capture going out and doing something that's quite different in landscape photography. We often get used to just having to go stand in one spot and wait for the weather to come to us. It's nice to go and chase it a little bit sometimes and go on the hunt and find those compositions as they appear.